101.1 HRT-AFM, Roatan, Honduras, Blue Wave Radio. Now it's time for the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, presented by ReMax Realty. When you want to learn about real estate, listen here. And now the host of Roatan Real Estate Roundup, Russ Regentz.
Good morning, everyone. This is Russ Regentz with the Roatan Real Estate Roundup. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Mike Chestnut and Kyle Kuhlmeyer, the ReMax guys from Roatan Paradise Homes. So good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning, Russ. Just this side of wonderful. Always
Just
a good
this
day
side.
on Roatan. Could flip over to wonderful any minute.
Well, as soon as we're done with the work here, let's go get wonderful down by the beach, boys.
Let's do it. Yes, that's a plan.
All right. So for many folks who don't know this, but Roatan actually the island has two different operating municipalities. There is Roatan and Santos Guardiola on the east side and Roatan on the west. The buying process or the execution is a little bit different in each one. So today we're going to cover that topic, some of the difference east side versus west side. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about Santos Guardiola versus Roatan, please.
Okay, well, the dividing line is just east of Parrot Tree from Roatan and Santos Guardiola. So it encompasses a good part of the island. And so your West End, West Bay, Sandy Bay, Coral Views, all of that is in Roatan. And once you cross over that line, now you're in what is termed the east side. And the west side is more populated, more popular, mainly because of the hotels and the cruise shippers and all that. But the east side is starting to get, I'm losing.
It's a little more developed. It's becoming
more
a
developed.
law. It's starting to develop, okay? But
Cut that out.
But in my opinion on that, Russ, each side is more tranquil.
Okay. So when we're saying it, just for our folks at home who may not be familiar, when you hear the term east side, we're talking about places like Camp Bay, Marble Hills Farms, some of the places all the way out there. A restaurant that everybody knows out there, Christie's Overlook. That is a place that we're talking about the east side, which is in Santos Guardiola. So, okay. So is there any differences executing? Well, let me back up. You guys were just talking about a second, a little bit more land on the east side, a little bit less sparsely populated. Are there any differences besides just a little bit more breathing room out there on the east side versus the west, do you guys think?
It's a slower pace.
Okay.
And, development is beginning out there, but nothing like the west side. There's still a lot of beauty out there. They both offer probably the two most beautiful beaches on this island, West Bay Beach and Camp Bay. Mm-hmm. And the difference is West Bay Beach has all the restaurants and bars. Camp Bay doesn't. West Bay has all the people. And Camp Bay, you literally can get there during the week and own the beach. And I feel those are the two most beautiful beaches on the island.
Yes.
East End also has restaurants on the water that are only accessible by water taxi. So that's unique. East End has the mangrove tunnels. There's a lot to offer.
Yeah. And, there again, we're speaking about places out east like Jonesville, which is one of the oldest communities on Roatan, right? Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of different little small pocket communities out there, Czech Village, that
Punta
are
Blanca, Oak
living
Ridge.
in, they're just in their own little world out there, believe it or not. I mean, East Enders are sometimes different people. They want to be in a more tranquil setting than being in the hustle and bustle and the nightlife of the bars and all that. They have their own bars and different things out there. But like Kyle's talking about, it may be a water taxi ride to get to one or something like that. So they seem to have a little different community standard by, like, for an example, not only living a water community as it's kind of some of those are known as, like the over-the-water houses out there that is known as Little Italy. So, yeah, I mean, it's a different lifestyle for sure, but there are a ton of advantages to living out there. I take it like, and I hate to do this comparison, but kind of like if you're into the city life or more into the country life coming from the U.S., right? Because it's more country out there, and you're going to have more open spaces, which is really a good thing.
And you get more bang for your buck right now out there, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because development's starting to increase. So
It is.
I think if you're a boat owner, you would tend to gravitate out there as well, you know?
And I'm going to give you stats because, I'm kind of big into looking at comparisons. And then you asked me this question again in 2 years. Okay. In 2023, between homes of $500K and $1 million, there was 20 homes that sold total in the island. One was east of Pear Tree.
Interesting.
One.
Yeah.
In 2023, instead of 22, there was 36. And there was 2 east of Parrot Tree. Ask me that again in 2 to 3 years, as these developments are really starting to explode out that way, that number will change.
Yeah, good point. And I'm sitting here kind of giggling as that we talk about country versus city, and we're saying things like West End and West Bay is this.
Yeah. We use that term loosely.
Yeah, that is just as a slight comparison because, West End and West Bay is very populated areas. And land and homes and condos all are at top value because supply and demand, basic economics. And out east, you have a little bit, right now, you can be a little bit more choosy. You can literally say, well, there's 3 homes in that price range. And what I like about this one is it's sitting on a 1/4 acre lot. It's not sitting on a footprint lot, right? I literally have room for my dogs. I have room to roam, room to build a casita, room to grow. So there are some very definite differences that make it east versus west, we'll call it. It just depends on what you're looking.
So let's drill into that for a brief second then. 2 topics specifically. One, people come here, want to come, and they want to live here. So as I'm thinking, if you're living out in the country a little bit, the first thing that hops into my mind is, well, there's not that many amenities. If you're out there by yourself, you're going to be on your own. Dispel that rumor for me, because that's really not true, right?
No, you're a short drive to the mall. If you live out east, you're closer to the mall. We've already talked about Camp Bay. We've already talked about the mangrove tunnels. Those are all activities that everybody on this island enjoys. You've got an Eldon's out there and the Eldon's Green Market. And you've got all kinds of restaurants out there. You could literally live out east and never come to the west. I know a lot of people that have chosen that lifestyle.
Russ, I live in Sandy Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife and I love Camp Bay, and we go there regularly. And the roads, as you know, out east right now are not in the best condition.
Right.
But we know that they are paving the roads on Camp Bay Road. I don't want to make it sound like night and day here, like, oh my gosh, if we live out there, how long is it going to take? I can be at Camp Bay in an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not very long. I know people in LA would say, oh gosh, we sat in traffic longer than in a standstill, right? So literally, when they get the roads done, that will be less than an hour drive for me. So when you take French Harbor, you're going to be able to go from Camp Bay to French Harbor in 35, 40 minutes maximum. And you have everything available at French Harbor that Island has to offer right at your fingertips.
And let me add, that's a scenic drive.
It is.
Right.
Not a bumper to bumper drive. It's a scenic, relaxing island drive.
That's very true. And to your point, I think that's great. That's a great way to put it. Just kind of as an analogy, the fact that how things have changed now that the road on the west side is done and how things have sped up. And we used to go back and laugh. 8 years ago when we lived here, it'd take me an hour and a half almost to get from the west side all the way to the golf course. Now that's a 40-minute drive, and that's only going to get faster.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's pivot to a different topic then. The other way that a lot of folks come here is they buy a property and they rent it or Airbnb it for a time to help offset their own revenue so they can come down and enjoy the lifestyle. Thing that jumps out into my head is if you're out there in the middle of nowhere, there's going to be no Airbnbs. You basically have to build that house, sit on it, find somebody to property manage it for you. Dispel that for me.
Great question. It's a misconception that Airbnbs only exist in the West. They are all the way out to Camp Bay. I know of successful ones everywhere in the East County. And the reason is that people, this isn't Cancun. Vacationers come here to relax, to scuba dive, chill out with their family on the beach. And there's always a beautiful view because, Roatan's so narrow. So you've got all of that, and you're not out in the middle of nowhere. But another flip side to that is the competition. In West End, you pull up Airbnb, you've got all kinds of condos and houses that you're competing against. It's wide open in the East. And you have your little niche. You build your casita, you got your beautiful view, you're this close to Camp Bay, and anywhere on this island will be successful as a rental if you put in the work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, and especially now with the airport expansion happening, I think you're going to start seeing some more balance come to the island. When I say balance, more people, as you said, going out to the East End and finding the jewels and the charm that's out there, to say the least.
It's happening. It's already happened.
Yeah, I think about in the U.S., if you've kind of noticed in the past years, camping has become very popular, right? People trying to escape outside of the cities and get out closer to nature. And so we see the same thing here as well. We have certain families that want to come here and be away from the bar scene and the hustle and the bustle and all of that. And they're more comfortable being out a little bit where they literally can see all of the stars at night. Everything the island has to offer. Plus, super quiet. You may hear a dog bark or something, but it's just a totally different vibe than the West End.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a very good point. It's always nice to hear in the West Side because, as you guys know, I live over in the West Side in West Bay. And there is always, I want to be very, very cautious when I say this because I realize people listening to this think I might be silly. You can actually hear traffic, and that's one or two cars driving on a road. Yes, I understand it's not a freeway. Right. You can literally hear that during the day. It's not, it's not the I-5 driving down Central or Western California, but then again, it's not a dirt road, to say the least.
The only time we have traffic on this island is cruise ship day, and it's not that bad. I come from SoCal. It's not that bad. So you won't get any traffic out east, ever. Like I said, no bumper to bumper, but you will encounter it here on any given cruise ship day. Sometimes we have 4 or 5 cruise ships on this island, right? And so getting into West End, sometimes a challenge, but that's part of the charm of Roatan.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing that once that road is done out on the East End, folks are going to have to remember that those cows and the livestock out there doesn't care about that road. You're going to have to slow down.
because we know that there's free grazing going on all over the island. It could be sheep or goats or cattle, whatever it may be. But you know what? That is definitely part of our charm, because I'm telling you right now, it's not every day when you get a drive down the road and see 10 or 12 cows that are literally a foot or two from the road and not giving you one bit of attention. Yeah. They're so busy eating the fresh grass that's growing right now with all the rain that we're having that they don't even know you're on their road. It's amazing. It's truly cool.
And that's a Kodak/Instagram moment.
Yeah.
People love that. I've seen people pull over taking pictures like they're in Yellowstone Park.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
Pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And just for a reminder for those of you out there, just like at Yellowstone, do not pet the bulls. They're not interested in playing with you.
Yeah, they're busy eating. They don't want to fool with us humans.
Exactly. All right, so we've talked about aesthetics. We've talked about business opportunity. Is there any real difference in getting a sale transacted in Santos Guardiola versus Roatan, or is it still basically the same process for you guys?
For us as realtors, it's pretty much the same process. It is a little bit different for the attorneys.
Okay.
How
about Mike? Pardon me, Mike. Let me cut you off. How about specifically for the buyers or sellers? Does that change though at all?
Not really. It's very similar for them. I mean, with the listing of the sellers, the paperwork could be slightly different, but not typical. It's pretty much the same. It is different based on, for the attorneys, sometimes what they have to deal with in the different municipalities.
Okay. All right. So
they
as
have
far as
maybe some different guidelines.
Okay. So as far as the experience for the buyer or seller, that's going to be pretty much standard. The upside, what I wanted to make sure we were doing is dispelling any other notions about difficulty getting something done in a quote unquote rural environment relative to more of a central city. And what would that experience be like? And then that way, so it's going to be the same for the buyer and seller, maybe some tweaks for the attorney and for you guys to get things done legally.
Slightly different for us.
Things could actually happen faster out east because less transaction.
Sure. Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, good stuff, man. Hey, another great conversation today. I'm very happy to have the ReMax guys, Kyle and Mike from Roatan Paradise Homes. Guys, it's always great to talk to you guys. We always get different perspectives and experience about what you're hearing out there. So my name is Russ Regentz, and this has been the Roatan Real Estate Roundup. I've got Kyle Kuhlmeyer and Mike Chestnut with me. So guys, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Russ. Have a great day.
We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember, when you come to Roatan, one of the best ways to see the island and its beauty is a real estate tour. Reach out to ReMax. Listen next week at this time for the Roatan Real Estate Roundup on Blue Wave Radio.